And hello everyone, welcome back to another HTML tutorial. In a previous tutorial we talked about attributes and comments, and in today's tutorial we'll talk about images. But you'll notice if you go to a lot of websites, they have like all of these nice images that you can look at while scrolling through them, and this can be very helpful to keep users on your website because it keeps them engaged. It shows them, hey, there's something to look at, let's look at it. So let's get started. Now you'll notice I have a image here called myimage.jpg. Keep note of that. This can be any image file extension that is supported by the browser. So PNG, JPEG, I believe GIF is also supported, but most of the times you'll just use PNG or JPEG. And it's just an Asian girl standing in the field. Nothing too special about this image. I got it from Pixabay. And you'll also notice that it is here. So it is actually my directory. I'm not screwing with you. Now, here we have the ability to add an image. And it's as simple as creating an image tag, so img, and then self-closing it. Image tags are self-closing because they pass all their data in via attributes. For example, the source attribute takes in the image itself. So my image, and this can be any name as long as it ends with the correct extension. Take note, if this wasn't a JPEG, it might have been a PNG. Then you had to say PNG here instead of JPEG. Whatever this extension is, it's very important. All right, and yeah, if we save that, then as you can see here, there's the image. Beautiful. Although you don't have to worry about it being a little bit too big for this screen here, because we'll be working with that in a second. Now you'll notice, let's say you forgot to say that P there, so now it's just myimage.jg. You'll notice that we just get this little broken image symbol. Sometimes the user wants to know what that image is, and you cannot always predict whether this image will be passed in correctly or not. So we can just say alt for alternate text. This is basically an attribute that can be used to describe the image. So if the image on the website breaks, then this can be a way to tell the user what was there. So we can just say Asian girl standing in field. There we go. Save that, and you'll notice that here it says Asian girl standing in field instead of showing a broken image icon. So this just basically describes that this image had an Asian girl standing in the field. And if we were to put that P back there and were to save it and refresh, and then we would get our image again, but we will not see the text because that text only appears if the image doesn't load. So if the image loads incorrectly. Now you'll take note that this image is in the same folder as my index.html. There are multiple ways to get an image from a different location. Sometimes you will get that image from a location, so let's say from Google, for example, and you can link to that image. That is completely possible. I'm not going to cover that though, because usually you'd want to host your images yourself. So you don't want to really upload it to a different source or just copy and paste the link to that image. So I'm just going to show how to do it locally and not online. But if you want to know how to do it online, then you can probably go Google it. There's probably a lot of answers. And I believe WeSchools will probably also have some sort of way around getting it from online. But usually it's just a copy and paste, and you paste the link into the source here. But I'm going to show you how to do that because I'd rather not. Let's say this image was in a different folder. So let's create a bunch of folders here. I'm going to create a source folder because let's just imagine there's a very big hierarchy of directories here, of folders. And instead of that source folder, I'm going to create a folder called static. Instead of that static folder, I'm going to create a folder called images. And there we go. So now here we have a folder within a folder within a folder, and this image is now inside of that images folder. So we're going to move it there, as you can see there. To show you that this is actually what's happening, let's go here. As you can see, we have a source folder. Instead of that, we have a static folder. Instead of that, we have an images folder. And instead of that, we have a myimage.jpg. So now we have to redirect this image to that location. So to do that, we can just say slash src slash static slash images and myimage.jpg. So you can just use your forward slashes here. So from the first folder, which is source, and it's in the same folder as this images, as if we go here to HTML, so we're going to source, so it's slash source, that's what we're doing here, slash source. Then we're going to static, which is inside of it, as you can see here, static. And then we're going into images, as you can see here, images, and then we select our image. So that's how you can get it if it's inside of a different folder. Okay. Now, sometimes you do want to resize this image because, as you can see, it's a little bit big for my screen. So I'll have to, resize it a little bit here. Now, to do that, you can give it another attribute with the height or the width. So let's go width, and we can make that equal to, let's say, 200 pixels. Save that, and now this image will only be the width of 200 pixels. We can increase this, let's say maybe 300 pixels, and that will be a little bit longer. It also has a height attribute, which let's say make it 500 pixels. We save that. As you can see, now it is stretching 500 pixels. You usually don't want to specify the width and the height. You'll do that with CSS. But since we don't know CSS, you usually only want to specify either the width or the height. You do not want to specify both of them because the stretching, it doesn't look very good. So what you can do is you can just specify the width, and it will basically scale itself to have the height and the width as it should be. So it will keep its original aspect. So 16 by 9, for example, will stay 16 by 9. But if we add in height, it can change from 16 by 20 or 16 by 5 or whatnot. But if you keep just the width or just the height, then it will scale them correctly. Now, sometimes you also want to add some styling to this image right here. So I'm going to maybe resize it just by another 100 pixels. So let's say we want to give it a border here around the image. That is pretty simple. Another attribute, which is border. And that border can be, let's say, 1 pixel, for example. You'll notice it now has a nice little border, maybe a bit difficult to see. So let's actually increase that border to, let's say, 5 pixels. As you can see, now there's a nice black border around the image. And yeah, these are just how to work with images. And that's about all there is for this video. So we learned how to get an image, so how to display that image inside of our web page here by using the source attribute. And then if that image cannot be loaded, we can use the alt attribute to put some text here to explain what is this image. And then we also have a width, which is just specifying the width of this. We can also set the height if we want to. And then we can also set the border, just to give some nice black borders around the edges. And yeah, that is all there is for today's video. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all again in the next HTML tutorial.